Welcome back to the Selling Logan podcast at the AKG Media Studio. Today's guest, I think we're going to change the podcast name to, instead of Selling Logan, just for today, it's going to be Renting with Logan. Today's guest, we have Bec Turner, who's the head of growth for AKG. Welcome, Bec.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So, Bec, can you just explain to us kind of what your role is within AKG? Because it's pretty broad, isn't it? Like you do a lot of things.
Yeah. So my role, head of growth. So basically I run the growth team. As growth is, we grow the rent roll. So work with investors that are looking to purchase investment properties, investors who are existing within our databases already as well, and just assisting them with their investment journey.
Yeah. So I'll also just give you a quick plug. So just yesterday, all confirmed that AKG rental side of things just hit Chairman Elite. Is that right?
Chairman's Elite across.
So the people listening at home, what does that mean? That's basically the top 1%, is it?
Top 1% property management in the Ray White network across the board. So we have 2,600 managements across our 3 office locations.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
It's
like that's a lot to handle.
Yeah, so we're the largest property management business in the Ray White network in Queensland.
Okay, wow. So month-wise, like what are you guys doing per month? Like how many new managements are you kind of bringing in at the moment? Like is there
consistently between 70 to 80 new managements a month. So
wow, that's
it's a lot.
What would be an average? Like for average, just for context, what would be an average rent roll? What would you kind of aim for?
Depending on businesses, a lot of them, are kind of smaller-ish. So to give you a little bit of context, when I came into the business 4.5 years ago, we had 300 managements. So I've been with us for 4.5 years. So we have grown 2,300 managements in the space of 4.5 years. So a lot of companies, choose to have smaller rent rolls, and that's totally fine. But it is really important to have a growth team to obviously, if you do have the plans to grow there. But probably on average, between 300-500 is where most people tend to sit.
And where does the majority of them come from? Because, I mean, you don't obviously just wake up and then you're just randomly doing 70, 80 managements a month. Like, is there something like that you're doing behind the scenes in order to get these? Like, where are a majority of them coming from?
So it all comes down to relationship building. So when I came into the business, right from the beginning, we had the 300 management. So I had to do all of the hard work right from the beginning. So
we had 300 when we started.
We had 300. Yep, 300. So
wow. Okay. Yep.
So it all comes down to you guys.
Know that.
You guys, the agents as well. So building the relationships with you guys, guys being across what we do as property management, working together as a team, but also broadening, our network and having referral partners and people that want to work with us.
Yeah. So obviously with all these managements and all these investors that you're dealing with day to day, what are investors looking for at the moment? Like, is there a secret to what they're all looking for? Is it bigger blocks? Is it granny flats? Like, what are they looking for?
So I work with a few different buyers agents, and they all have different investment strategies for their clients. So, there's no one shoe fits all for investors. So some of them are looking for, like you said, the bigger blocks to be able to add a secondary dwelling on there. So we are finding in Logan at the moment, it is really, really popular for granny flats to be being built, which obviously gives them extra income on the property there.
Yeah. So if I'm an investor, like just rough calculations, like if I purchase a block, say 700 square meters, council approval, can put a granny flat on the back, what's the ins and outs? Like how much would I have to outlay potentially for a granny flat, and what's the return I'm actually going to get on that plus the existing dwelling?
Yeah, so it all depends on obviously the existing dwelling, what it's currently rented for. You have to go through the process. It's not like you can just wham bam whack a granny flat on there. Yep. You have to honour the existing tenant's lease. Yep. It all comes down to communication with them. Granny flat build, depending on what company it's with, but tend to sit between 200 to 200K from what I've seen that clients we've recently worked with, and the rental return on those are around about $500 a week at least.
Okay. Plus obviously the
existing dwelling. So whatever that's currently rented for. So, typically the average rent in the Logan area sits around that $550 mark.
Yeah. Is there any restrictions with that at all? Like can it be 2 separate leases, like 2 separate families, or does it all have to be under one family? Because I know there's some
Yeah.
Or is that a myth?
No, look, we encourage our clients to do it all properly, so that way it can be rented separately. So in order for it to be rented separately, you have to have it separately metered for water and electricity. But when you're going through the process with the granny flat builders, obviously they go through all of that and put that in place for you.
Yeah. I'm assuming probably the majority of the investors that are purchasing, obviously they want to maximize their return. Yeah. Is there anything small that they're kind of doing to, I guess, increase the rent and obviously get a good secure tenant in place?
Well, that's what our team, when we work with these investors that are looking to purchase, so part of our services will offer to, give them an overview on the property, where it sits in the current market, and, we want to help them increase their value. So when we're going through, we'll chat with them, we'll say, hey, look, we might be able to suggest a few little bits and pieces, such as, new paint, new carpet, to make that property present better. Once a property presents better, you're more inclined to attract a better quality tenant. You get a better quality tenant, they pay their rent on time, they stay longer in the property. So we'll work with the investors in those initial stages when they're looking to purchase and give them our feedback and guidance. I also look at it from a rental perspective. So if I can see that there's something that's going to be a potential maintenance issue, you don't need to go in there and...
What are the main ones? Like, what are the main maintenance ones? Like, red flags?
Red flags, obviously mold.
Mold's
a huge thing. Water leaks. If you can see that something is quite run down and it is going to cause potential issues. Fencing is another major issue as well. But people like things that look nice, very well presented. So sometimes if you're going into a property, I've had a few clients recently that have just done like little cosmetic renos with their property. So if you've got a bright pink kitchen. Pink's not everyone's favorite color. So there's things now that you can do in just getting like laminate paint and just freshening it up and just giving it a fresh facelift there, and it makes such a massive difference.
Has the craziness gone out of the rental market? Like, because I know it was utterly insane and it was crazy. So has that kind of simmered down a little bit now? And like, what's kind of vacancy rates looking like? Is it
definitely seeing a lot more stability in the rental market? We're not getting those huge numbers. We were having to cap open for inspections. We would have like 30 people book in. 30 people turn up on the day of the inspection, so we had to cap them. But we're not seeing those huge numbers anymore. We're still getting a lot of people through. The vacancy rates would probably still sit around about that 1% at the moment. With the average days on market being around.
Is that in Logan, or is that usually across the board?
That's in the Logan from what we've seen. It sits around that 1%, with the average days on market being 15, 16 days.
15, 16 days to find a tenant.
Find a tenant, providing that the property is priced right accordingly to the
priced correctly.
market.
So another topic that's pretty big at the moment, especially with all these managements, and I'm curious how you're kind of tackling it, is the new rental reforms with purchasing property as well, with the tenants not being able to increase the rent. Can you talk us through that and what you're seeing with that and how you're, I guess, affecting that?
Yep. So the new legislation that rolled out is rent increases can only be applied once every 12 months. So it was per tenancy or per tenant, more or less, but now it actually is applicable per property. So regardless if you have a tenant that, breaks lease, vacates, you actually have to keep the rent the same for a 12-month period. So to give you a little bit of an example, we had a particular property where it was rented at $500 a week. That was probably around about $100 under where the current market sits. So that property was going through the process of a sale. Once it settled, the legislation had kind of changed in between that for the poor landlord. So the plan was always to re-rent that property at $600 a week. But because this legislation rolled out and there was 4 months left on the existing lease from when the tenant had vacated, we had to re-rent the property at $500 a week for 4 months, and then it could be increased after that. So when we're advertising a property, we'll disclose it in the ad, but we also have to put it in the lease agreement. So for this particular property, we rented it at $500. We ended up doing a 16-month lease. So the first 4 months were at $500, and then it increased to $600 after that. Yeah. So it is a big thing. Do
you think anything will change at all? Like, do you think they will modify it a little bit? Because a lot of it doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
It's all well and good theory. Like if the tenant is in there But if there's no tenant in there, then it doesn't benefit the tenant, doesn't benefit the landlord, doesn't benefit anyone.
Yeah.
So like,
it's frustrating. It was very quick to come on board as well. We just got a notification that, hey, this is the new legislation. I think a lot of it was rolled out. You hear in the media, things like that.
Absolutely.
Tenants
I totally
are hurting.
get it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I think it was more around, to help the tenants. So it wasn't, you weren't getting these greedy landlords, jacking rents up, kicking them out after 6 months, putting it up again. So it was trying to stabilize that. But it has created, a few headaches. It takes, when there's new legislation that rolls out, we have to work around it. We do our best. But yeah, fortunately, it's what it is. 12 months per property, not per tenancy now.
Yeah. I know you probably get this happen a few times, is an owner that wants to lease it to friends or family.
Yep.
Can you shed some light? Because I know some horror stories, and I'm sure you've probably heard and dealt with a lot of horror stories.
Yep.
Is there some sort of advice that you could probably recommend to somebody that, hey, I just want to get my cousin or brother or something in my place, that way I don't have to worry about management fees. I've got a good relationship, it'll be fine.
Yeah, look, it definitely is a subject that, we see a lot. I've experienced it firsthand a lot. I've been in the industry for a very, very long time.
Yeah, how long? How long? I only literally just found this out just before we started this. How long have you been doing it?
22 years.
22 years, wow.
Yep. It's long time. So I've definitely seen a lot of things, but like you said, definitely renting to friends, family. I don't advise against it, but what I can say is, if you are, or landlords are considering it, put the property with an agency, because that way everything is done by the book. We're going to protect you. We've seen ones before where, like friends and family always are the first people that are going to do the wrong thing by you. So, you've got your brother in there. He goes, oh, hey, sorry, I can't pay rent this week. I'll pay double next week. And it kind of stems from that. So it also becomes very, very uncomfortable, when they're weeks behind, you've got to chase them up. You've got mortgage payments to make. So having it with an agency, we do all the chasing for them. We'll put them on a lease agreement to protect you. Landlord's insurance is also a big thing. So if you don't have a lease agreement in place, you're actually affecting yourself. If, there's any issues down the track and you have to go through the process of putting in insurance claim, insurance won't pay you out if you don't have a lease agreement in place.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So okay. Right.
Okay,
so if it's just privately rented,
you're not covered through insurance.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. That's weird. An insurance company finding a way out of things. Oh, well done.
But no, we have a lot of people, a lot of landlords on our books who, have their kids in there, that have their cousins in there, have people, that they have connections to. Yeah. And we just encourage them that, for the sake of $40 a week, it's better to be safe than sorry. And we've saved a lot of owners because of issues.
And I think it kind of makes things a lot easier if it's managed through somebody else. That way there's not that family kind of tension, because there's nothing worse than...
It can be very uncomfortable, chasing somebody for rent, or, like you don't want to step on their toes, or, where it makes us then be the bad guys. We're going in there and going, hey, where's your rent? Or, you need to look after your place better. Yeah.
And so doing this for 22 years, I'm just curious, like, where did you even start out? Like, where... So did you start out in the rentals? Were you sales?
Yeah,
did you ever jump into sales at all?
No, actually, I've done everything but sales. I haven't sold. I don't want to work weekends.
You don't want to work?
I don't want to work weekends.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only reason why I haven't done it. No, I started 17. I actually didn't even realise real estate was a career. I had no idea. I just completely fell into it, as most people do. Yeah. Started in reception, did sales admin, kept getting pulled into property management. So I've actually spent a long time in my career working for a few different Ray Whites.
Yeah.
But yeah, property management is something that I've always got dragged into. I guess I liked the going into people's houses, seeing how other people live.
Yeah.
A bit weird like that, but I don't know. It's just something I don't know. I love, the relationships that you form with people. I haven't personally managed property, so I spent a big chunk of my career, about 12 years, I have been a property manager and managed properties for. So I have, seen all the tenant horror stories.
Yeah.
dealt with the landlords. I've seen it all. But yeah, I don't know. I love the people. Love seeing houses.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
It's one of the really good things that I've seen since you started working with you. Obviously got to speak. You've had to speak at a few big events like ARIC. How was that? A couple of sleepless nights before speaking at ARIC. That was a big thing.
That was a huge thing.
That was
I thought I actually got stitched up when I got asked to present there, and I was like, why would anyone want to listen to me speak?
Girl from Logan, you know, why are we speaking at ARIC?
Exactly. But no, it actually was such a I don't know, like it was such a growth experience for myself, and I am really, really glad that I did do it. I almost pulled the pin 2 weeks prior. I kind of went into this shutdown mode. I'm like, I can't do this. But no, I'm glad I faced my fears. You know, even doing this, what we're doing today, like 12 months ago, I would not even get in front of a camera. Just kind of do my thing, keep in the background, keep quiet. But no, it's all about growth.
Yeah.
So I run the growth team.
You're right. That's why you run the growth. So what's next though? Like, is there anything else that's on the horizons?
We've always got big plans, big goals in place. So we have 2,600 managements at the moment. Our goal is to increase that each financial year by 1,000 managements.
1,000 a year.
1,000 a year. So big goals in place. You do the math, do the numbers, but it comes down to the team that we have. So, not only do I have a really good growth team, but
so who's your team? Talk us through.
So I've got 6 in the team. So myself, I have 2 other BDMs that work under myself as well. And then I've got a prospecting BDM. So he's going to transition into becoming a BDM. So he's just kind of learning the ropes at the moment. 2 associates who basically run the admin side of things, and then also a VA.
Yep. Wow.
Yep.
And you manage all that plus
signing,
doing what you do day to day,
but
and being a mum as well. And
but you love what you do. You know, it doesn't really feel like work, and I love the hustle, love the the hard work, and we work for a good company. We've got a great boss, so I think a lot of it comes down to it.
I think that's when you have a good boss and a good that certainly makes things so
pretty
much.
Okay sales agents.
Oh yes.
No, it's good. I think the beauty why we all do so well is like we all work together as a team. So I know like when you're going out, you're meeting with clients, you're not all about yourself and just going, hey, like I want to get the sale done. The minute they say, hey, I'm an investor, or if they're potentially looking at renting out that property, like we always communicate, you're always, getting my foot in the door, same with ourselves, with you as well. And
it goes both ways as well. I think that's one good thing of probably why it's managed to grow so quickly is just that back and forth that we have. Like, so many times I'll have a client call me, oh yeah, Cory, what can I do with this? What, can I do this and this? Hey, look, I'm just going to send you Bec, and Bec will be able to answer all those questions. And then it'll, if you do the right thing, then that stuff comes back to you, vice versa, hey, Cory, I've got this one. It's on our rentals. They're looking at doing this and this.
Or I'm chatting with a client where they're like, oh, I'm not sure if, they've had a bad experience with another agency. Like we did one together, right?
Yeah.
So she had it as a rental. She was done because she was with another agency. We were trying to get her across, but then she was like, I just don't want to put it back on the market again. Yeah. And then pretty much I convinced her to sell when she sold with you.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I've got to get you a present for that as well.
Thanks.
I thought I got away with that. Okay, all right. Well, I think that's a wrap. Thanks so much for coming in, Bec. I really appreciate it. Hopefully the audience got a fair bit out of that. But once again, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Bec.
Bye.